How much pressure is there on Michigan to go out here to win this game? Do you think this could be a sleeper game they lose? What does this do for like their matchup against Ohio State? Like, does it make it not as competitive if they lose? Like, what's the scoop on this game?
Yeah, so this game was actually a big game for Michigan. If they were to look really good in the win against Penn State, like beat them by 2-3 scores,
Mm-hmm.
the committee's they'll be justified in where they put Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Because both Ohio State and we didn't look great against Penn State. We know that. Like we didn't look dominant.
Yeah.
A lot of teams in the Big Ten didn't. Penn State, if they're healthy, they're a good football team.
Yeah.
However, if Michigan loses this game, it kind of blows things up because now you drop Michigan. You have to drop them, and you got to drop them precipitously.
Yeah.
You can't drop them 1 or 2 spots. You should have already. They shouldn't be in front of Michigan State. But now if they lose this one, they really should. They probably fall out of the top 10, which sucks for Ohio State because now when we beat Michigan, it's, you beat a 2-loss Michigan who was ranked 12.
Right.
Whoop-de-doo. And if for some reason Michigan plays us really, really tough,
Mm-hmm.
and, it's like, you guys struggle with the 2-loss Michigan that, we didn't, so you want actually to see Michigan look really good. You want, Michigan State to look. You want everybody to look good until we play them. So this is a big game for Michigan. This is a big game for Harbaugh. This is Harbaugh's thing has been like, I've been having pretty good regular seasons. We just haven't been able to beat Ohio State. Well, if you're losing to Michigan State, your rival that you say is a bigger rival than Ohio State.
Yeah.
And it's true. Lately, they have been a bigger rival because they can't play with us.
Mm-hmm.
So if you lose to your rivalry game, you lose the ultimate rivalry game in Ohio State, and you lose to Penn State.
Oh,
I don't know what you have. I don't know what you're doing. You sit behind that desk at that job. You don't need that job. That job is not for you. That job is for somebody that can win those games, and you cannot. It's that simple. I think Harbaugh's job, in a way, is kind of on the line, even though everyone says he's got a lifetime contract with free milk and khakis from home.
I think I saw where they said Harbaugh's like 3-3 all time against Penn State as of right now. I'm like, that's kind of interesting to think about that.
And has not been able to beat Ohio State once.
Right. So you're
0-for against Ohio State, and you're only 50% against Penn State. And you seem like you're like 50% against Michigan State.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out
where
when Michigan standards drop that low that like that's a guy they still want to invest in long term. It's interesting.
Right. It is interesting. Big Ten West is another side of the things I'm interested in. So Minnesota and Iowa do have each other this week. And I'm wondering, when do you think you're going to kind of start to see like some separation in that conference? Because between Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Purdue, they're all 4-2 in the conference and 6-3 overall. So when do you think
There's no separation.
Don't think there's going to be any? Okay.
Yeah. Big Ten West has kind of been like that for a while, it feels like. I mean, at one point, there really isn't any dominant, not in the Big Ten West. It's weird how they split the Big Ten because all the good teams are in the East.
Yeah, right.
Nobody really. It's just like whoever comes out of the West is going to get the chance to get their butts kicked in the Big Ten championship.
Right.
Usually against Ohio State. So
yeah.
It's like, I actually feel bad for them because there really isn't. There's nothing in the Big Ten West. I don't even want to discuss them. That's not nice. I know. But like, I hate to say it like that. It's like y'all are kind of irrelevant, and that's tough.
Which of those teams, though, do you think would give Ohio State? Well, we'll just assume Ohio State's in the Big Ten championship. I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and guess it. Which of those teams do you think will give them the biggest challenge?
We've already beat Minnesota. Their running back went down, and we had a young football team. I think we'll be better if that were to come around again. Kirk Friends in Iowa, they always play tough. Got a tough defense, but I just don't. I don't see it. Wisconsin, they just don't have a quarterback dynamic enough to pose a real threat. You got to be able to score points if you're going to play Ohio State. We're still scoring 28, 35, plus points. I just don't. I guess your best bet is Iowa, just because they got a pretty stout defense still, and then I'll be honest with you, I don't see anybody. I don't see a threat. I hate to say it, I know it doesn't add doesn't make it compelling, but it's just the truth. I don't see anything in the West.
Yeah,
Like, oh.
I didn't either. I was kind of like, yeah, all these teams, like I don't really see any of them
Penn
knocking.
State was going to be the big test.
Mm-hmm.
Past that one, you don't want to overlook Purdue just because, obviously. But after that, I think Michigan State, everyone got really high on their running back in that running game, but they couldn't beat Purdue. So clearly they have some deficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
And then Michigan's going to be a war. It always is, no matter what rankings are. Michigan always plays us hard as shit, and that's going to be a battle. When you get through that, man, listen, I don't see any problems. So that's the big thing.
Man, interesting. And the last college game I did want to talk about, Ohio State Purdue. I always like to kind of like dig on these games and see like what kind of like little things kind of underlie. So Purdue has a chance to be the first unranked team to knock off 3 top 10 teams since Illinois did it in 1959. Do you think Purdue can capitalize on this? Do you think they'll be the team?
Depends on their quarterback. He's super up and down, man. When he's hot, he's hot.
Yeah.
And when he's cold, he's ice cold.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody seems to play their best ball against us, though. So we got to be, at this point, there should be no longer any mysteries about like what we're going to get when we play a team. Mm-hmm. And for us, it's about getting a fast start. It's been really, and I get that the Nebraska game, it was 11 a.m. kickoff for those players. Mm-hmm. Left the day before. So, 11 a.m. is hard to get your juices running to play at that level that early. But you expect this week for the guys to be juiced up and ready. And I got a feeling Coach is going to be playing that 2018 game over and over again in the film room, just reminding them like this is how you ruin your season by not taking these guys seriously. Mm-hmm. And they know that they're not gonna overlook this one. This ain't gonna be one that they're like, we'll go out there and Purdue, coming off of the upset, mm-hmm. riding high right now, feeling good. Ohio State breaking that film down, knowing that like this team is coming in here. There's no excuse to not be completely ready to go for this game, right? Like this is not a trap game. It'd have been a trap game if we dominated our last 3 games and Purdue was coming off of like 2 or 3 losses. Then we could be like, oh yeah, we're going like this, they're going like this. We could easily overlook them, but it's not. Yeah, like we're coming off of a couple games where we kind of got criticized in a win for not looking that good, right? And they're coming off of a game where they, just dethroned what they felt, with top 5 teams. So they're feeling pretty damn good about themselves, and we're still kind of like not satisfied, or we shouldn't be. Right. That's a good emotional place to be in for Ohio State heading into a game like this. So I think we'll